So you're the divisional accountant. The divisional accountant relies on information which is passed on to you from the scientific officer. After your company has decided that it's a worthwhile investment in the program put forward by the scientific officer, they will pass over to you a resource list. The resource list contains all the information which is needed for the company, for that division in the next 12 months. The list will include a whole range of things, including things like wages, consumables, equipment, maybe even the need for laboratory space. As a divisional accountant, you have to work out how much all this is going to cost. If your division is making a profit, then that information needs to be pulled across from the scientific officer as well. So you can see at the divisional level the impact of the activity in the next 12 months on the overall financial status of the division. Now, the reason why it's an important thing to be a divisional accountant is that what we're trying to do is to expose you to the costs of running research. Because of course the costs of running research is a huge limitation in what people can do in real life. You know, for instance, at the university, we can all dream up really, really expensive projects to do, but if we don't have the money to do it, then of course it's not going to get off the ground. It's exactly the same thing in industry. So when people put forward things, we always put together a budget for how much it's going to actually cost. Now, so this understanding how much things cost is a really important thing for a scientist to understand. As divisional accountant, what you must do is to try and get as realistic values for the costs which the scientific officer is asking for. So, for instance, if the scientific officer wants to employ 2 scientists with a PhD, you need to find out what the salaries is for that particular level of person and look into how much it actually costs to employ them. This will include things like insurance and a whole range of other stuff called on-costs. So it's probably quite nice to find out how much people earn in the real world as scientists or whatever level of person that the scientific officer is asking for. But the numbers that the divisional accountant puts in the spreadsheet have to be as realistic as possible. So through your work as a divisional accountant, you'll start getting a feel for the costs of things. How much does a -80 freezer cost? How much does laboratory equipment cost? Things like that. The other important outcome of being a divisional accountant is that you start becoming familiar with the names of the companies who are selling these sorts of equipment. For instance, you will know that there are certain companies that will sell chemicals, certain companies will sell scientific equipment and things like that. So again, we're trying to equip you in this unit for you to move on to things like Project C and beyond, so that when someone says, oh, I need to order some Taq polymerase to carry out a PCR reaction, you have an idea about how to go onto the internet, how to find companies that sell the products that you're after, and some idea of realistic costs. After the divisional accountant has fully costed out all their material, they will have put it into some sort of spreadsheet which the chief accountant has set up for each of the divisions, and that information will be transferred to the chief accountant, ready for consolidation by the end of the semester. So the chief accountant is, you learn lots of skills about being a chief accountant, other than just how to communicate costings for projects. But more importantly, you start understanding how much things cost and about how and where to access these sorts of information.